Hi and welcome to Destination Michigan, where we explore the beauty, creativity, and destinations in our Great Lakes state. Tonight we're going to meet some outstanding Michiganders, and we'll travel across the mitten to visit the communities that make Michigan unique. This episode is a special edition as we look back to some of our favorite people and places that we showcased this season. So tonight's journey will launch in Leland, where we'll meet the pilot behind a bright yellow Piper Cub seaplane. Stefanie Mills will then head to the west coast of the mitten, home to one of only 4 ice luge tracks in the country at the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex. Then a trip to the eastern Upper Peninsula wouldn't be complete without a stop at the Great Lakes Boat Building School. After that, we'll aim for the stars and head to the headlands of Emmet County to view them. We'll wrap up the show with outdoorsman Bob Garner. Tonight he'll teach us about tractors with an annual event that takes place on the Mackinac Bridge. I'm Courtney Jerome, and you're tuned in to Destination Michigan.
Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the CMU Events Center.
Michigander Tom Trumbull sees our state from the sky. As a pilot who owns a Cessna aircraft affiliate in Ottawa Lake, he commutes from his downstate airport to his home up north. We met up with him in Leland, where his family flies for fun. Many locals and summer residents of the M22 part of our state have gotten a glimpse of a small but bright yellow plane flying through the clouds and landing in the lakes. If you're like me, you might have also wanted to know more about who's behind the pilot's seat and where they're headed. So we went in search of that seaplane and found it. The pilot is Tom Trumbull, and he commutes from his home in northwestern Michigan in Leland to his airport in southeastern Michigan.
And we've been in that business since 1984. Kind of got our start in aviation through my dad. He was a pilot, so I got a chance to learn how to fly at a very young age. I think my dad practically moved a household of furniture in this airplane. But that's kind of how we got started here, and we'd always had seaplanes. Over the years, we used to go up into Canada on float planes like this. Oh, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, he said, you know, we need to get a Cub on floats. And I said, yeah, I think we do need to do that. So anyways, we found the airplane, we found the set of pontoons for it and put it together, put a little bit bigger engine in the airplane, and it all came together. So it's just been a kind of a toy airplane, but it's just great fun to be able to see the area.
On his 16th birthday, he flew his first airplane solo. Today, he docks his seaplane on the shores of Lake Leland. And the views from above sure are beautiful.
This airplane, this is a 1946 Piper Cub. So this airplane was designed to be a trainer. For World War II, a lot of the pilots did their primary training in an airplane like this. It originally had a very small engine, but most of them were produced with a 65 horsepower air-cooled engine. We converted this one to a 90 horse, which it doesn't go any faster, but it gives you better takeoff and climb performance. So this airplane, you know, on a cool day without a lot of weight, just maybe you're by yourself, you can land in pretty small places, and you can always land in a smaller area than taking off. So that's a little bit of a thing you got to keep in mind. It's like when you look at a lake and you think, okay, I know I can land there, but can I get out of that lake again? So that's a little bit of a challenge, yeah.
In Tom's Piper Cub, the pilot flies from the back seat. It doesn't have an electrical system, so there aren't any lights, which means daytime only flying. And there aren't any brakes either, so it can be difficult to steer on the water when the airplane always wants to point into the wind.
The trickiest thing, understanding how the airplane handles on the water. In a land plane, since you're relegated to runways, you often have a crosswind takeoff or landing where the wind is not coming straight down the runway, but it will be at an angle. In a float plane, since the runway is the whole lake, you pretty much can always land and take off into the wind. Now, once you get on the water, we pull the water rudders up, which steer it on the water, and the airplane automatically weather vanes right into the wind. Having some experience on a sailboat is really useful because you're really tuned into the wind and its effects. We've always thought that was the best training time on a sailboat.
And Tom has been training future pilots for years, both with his suburban aviation business and at home. One of his sons flew solo on his 16th birthday too. And Tom's also currently teaching his daughter the freedom of flight.
This aviation thing, I think, you know, in our family we take it for granted a little bit, you know, because it's just the way we've always had airplanes around. And, you know, that's kind of the thing that we've noticed in our business, that we analyze our business in terms of what do we do, which sometimes you can get so deep in business that you don't take time to say, you know, what are we doing here? And we realize that what we do is we show people how to integrate aviation into their lifestyles, sort of like we did. If it's over a 2-hour drive, we fly. What we find is that people that buy airplanes from us, they have all sorts of missions. It might be using the airplane for business. It may mean that they have a summer home in northern Michigan and they commute back and forth by airplane. It could be that they've got kids in college and they're going back and forth. So everyone's got a little bit of a mission. So how do you then integrate that into your lifestyle and then understand the whole aviation thing with the owning the airplane and maintaining it and all those things that go along with owning an airplane. And that's really defined our business nicely in what we do.
The Trumbulls also have a set of skis for their Piper Cub, so they can fly off the snow and ice. To learn more about some training services and how you can get a license of your own, visit suburbanaviation.com. As Michigan residents, we know how to enjoy our Great Lakes state year-round, and we explore the abundance of recreational activities that are available to us in the winter. Destination Michigan's Stefanie Mills shows us some of those activities tonight, with a stop at the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex.
To get the full effect of today's destination, you need to be prepared. I'm talking hat, gloves, coat, snow pants, but don't let the cold weather fool you, because there's so much going on around here, you might just break out in a sweat or scream.
The luge is by far the most famous attraction.
That was a little better. Only bounced off the wall a couple times.
You're going to hit speeds of 25 to 30 miles per hour here from the public start, which will feel like 90 miles per hour your first time down.
Do you have luging on your bucket list? Then look no further than the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex. Situated inside the Muskegon State Park, this place is the ultimate playground for winter sports fun.
Our 4 core components here are luge, cross-country ski, we have snowshoe trails, and we have ice skating. And each of those has their own uniqueness to them. Our cross-country ski trails are lighted trails. They're the longest lighted trail system in the Midwest, with 5 miles of lighted trails throughout the system. We have 2 acres of outdoor ice skating space with a 1/4 mile ice skating trail through the woods, which is very unique to itself. And then we have 3 miles of phenomenal snowshoe trails that traverse along the shores and the dunes of Lake Michigan here at the park.
The complex was developed in 1984 in an effort to boost tourism in the area. Today, through a partnership with the Muskegon Sports Council and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Parks and Rec Division, it's become a destination for people from across Michigan and the country.
We provide winter sports here between December 1st and March 31st each year. We operate with a no-fee lease with the state of Michigan to do this. All the fees collected here are required to be spent back into the facility and the improvements each year. That gives us the opportunity to work with the DNR, identify new opportunities, programming, or facilities that will enhance winter recreation in Michigan.
The skiing and the ice skating here is phenomenal. Kids can learn how to skate on this huge 2-acre rink or slide along the awesome trail through the trees. But the biggest draw is no doubt the luge track.
I like to tell people that it's an 850-foot ice sculpture. We essentially grab buckets of snow, we pour it in here to the track. And we have a crew of 8 to 10 guys and packing it, shaping it, and cutting it, and watering it, and just getting it to all the right profiles so that the track runs safe and everybody has a good experience. We allow ages 8 on up, and we've had 80-year-old senior citizens here trying to luge.
This luge track is one of just 4 in the country. It was designed by a 3-time Olympian. Now, while it's not used to train Olympic athletes, it has helped future lugers get their start.
The Muskegon luge track was redesigned and rebuilt in 1990 by Frank Maisley, who was a 3-time luge Olympian and also an engineer. An Olympic track is a mile long, they'll hit speeds of 90 miles per hour. But to slide from those levels, it takes 9 years of training and international competition to even consider making the team.
All right, that's a finish time of 17.186. Rack is clear.
It takes 5 to 6 years before a youth can develop. So when the U.S. program is looking to recruit kids, that's what our track serves. That's really why we're here and how we're supported by U.S. Luge is to youth development. We want to see kids that starting at 8 to 12 years old. Once you're 13, 14, you're really too old.
The public portion of the track is about 350 feet long and packs plenty of punch for thrill seekers. All it takes is a quick 5-minute lesson that teaches lugers how to steer and stop.
Good, now your shoulders are back, you chuck your chin into the chest. Knees are slightly bent, feet are pointed in.
It feels a little awkward to lay there with your back on the sled, but you forget all about it once you shoot down the ice. The fun at the complex doesn't stop when the snow melts. The area is a popular spot for campers and hikers in the summer, and people can come and check out the wheel luge. They've also made major improvements to help adults and kids with disabilities get greater access to the park.
The coolest part is, when you see folks come out and, a family come out, and it's, they're getting through all the painful parts of getting skates on the kids or whatever. The kids are, groaning and mumbling, and once they get into the experience, all that kind of just goes away. Cell phones go away, and it's just kind of that real experience that you don't find anywhere else nowadays.
A real experience not just for first-timers, but those looking to do something they've always wanted to do.
Bringing your own skates or skis when you come to the complex isn't required, as you can rent all the equipment you'll need at their lodge. You can take a look at their website for their seasonal hours. Now we travel east of St. Ignace in the pristine Upper Peninsula to the Les Chenaux Islands. The 36 islands provide sheltered channels and bays within the Straits of Mackinac. And off this Lake Huron coast lies the town of Cedarville, a historic harbor area for boaters and explorers. It's also the home of career craftsmen and hobbyists alike. With over 11,000 inland lakes and over 3,000 miles of Great Lakes shoreline, Michiganders are bound to see beautiful wooden boats coasting through our waters. If you see one up close, it's hard to miss the details and precision that goes into its building. Restoration and new boat building like these are done by talented craftsmen, mostly by a generation that's nearing retirement. Luckily, there's a new generation to pick up where they're leaving off. In the U.S., there are wooden boat building schools in New England and Seattle, but the only inland wooden boat building school is on the Great Lakes, in the town of Cedarville.
The other schools are on the coast, and that combined with the fact that there's such a maritime heritage, not only in our area, but throughout the state of Michigan and the broader Great Lakes area, that we just felt like that there would be an audience and a constituency for both our full-time and our summer students.
A core group of Yoopers committed to their goal of beginning a school of their own created the Great Lakes Boat Building School, welcoming their first class of students in September 2007. The school's career program takes 2 years to complete.
A lot of the students coming in have very limited or no woodworking skills, and so the program that our lead instructor, Pat Mahon, has set up really helps everybody start from a common point, and it just begins with a little step stool, and then they'll build a shipwright's tool chest, then they'll build a pair of oars, and then they build a series of small boats, and then they work on their larger boats, and all this happens within a 9-month period.
To give you an idea of how intricate and dedicated a wooden boat craftsman has to be, look at the board this student is working on. Earlier in his first year, this one board would have taken 2 whole days to perfect. Now that he's at the end of his first year, he'll work on it for a good 4 hours.
Second year focuses on building a larger, more complex boat. Usually the boat will be 24 to 30 feet. And besides building the boat itself, the students also learn what's called yacht joinery. They learn how to build all of the cabinetry that goes into the boat. They also learn about marine systems, how to install the engines, steering system, some of the controls that go in there. It's not a full marine systems program because that's a specialty in and of itself, and people go for 9 months just to learn that. But we teach the fundamentals of marine systems so that they're competent to install an engine and a steering system and that sort of thing in the boat.
With typically an average of 17 to 20 students enrolled in career courses, they range in all ages, from right out of high school to people beginning their second careers. Alumni then find jobs in wooden boat building and restoration shops, or they start their own. But the Great Lakes Boat Building School also offers summer workshops for those who are interested in learning aspects of the craft without the commitment.
We're the only one of the 4 major boat schools that has an active summer program like this. We have a range of classes in the summer. The core projects are boat building classes, and these are component boats. Everything is already pre-cut. So basically what you're doing with an instructor's assistance is you're putting that boat together, and it uses wood and epoxy, and so it's a very strong, light boat, very well designed. We had a woodworking for women class that they wanted to learn how to use the table saw and the planer and build something nice, and so they'll build an Adirondack chair, or they'll build a nice boat-shaped bookshelf. We have a fly rod making class this summer. We had a metal casting, a bronze casting class, so it's a real wide range of classes that we offer in the summer.
While this range of classes varies from summer to summer, you'll find anything from paddle boards to kayaks to create. The school expanded partnerships in 2013 for these summer workshops. Nowadays, classes are held not only in Cedarville, but in Charlevoix and Traverse City too.
It's partly about getting a boat built that they'll then go on and use, but it's also a tremendous family activity that fathers and daughters, fathers and sons, grandfathers and grandsons do together. So it's a real mix of ages, and I guess one of the cool things is that it's a real bonding experience. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. It is fun, but then when you leave here at the end of the week, you've got a nice boat that you can use when you get back home. And so the whole thing has got some immediate satisfaction and some long-term satisfaction when you're all done with it.
For some, the satisfaction comes from a weekend, whole week, or 2 years spent learning the wooden boat building trade at the Great Lakes Boat Building School. And for others, we've gained a whole new appreciation for the beautiful wooden boats we see floating on our Michigan lakes. The school has contributed millions of dollars to the Cedarville community and local economy since it originated. Also something to note, the area has an annual boat show in August to celebrate a variety of vessels. To learn more about the Great Lakes Boat Building School, their website is glbbs.org. Well, there are so many beautiful destinations along our Great Lakes shores, and the Headlands International Dark Sky Park is one of them. The Dark Sky Park consists of 600 acres in Emmet County along Lake Michigan. Stefanie Mills gives us a glimpse of what makes this place shine from sunup to sundown.
I love to talk about the stories of the night sky and about the poetry, the mythology, the lore. Every culture around the world has its star lore, and when you look through history, you can see that that star lore informed architecture, agricultural, civic practice, ceremony, religion, and that's a really rich part of who we are as human beings.
Mary Stuart Adams' passion for the stars rivals any astronomer. Through her vision of preserving a view that's losing its luster in more urban areas, in 2009 she led the effort with Emmet County in designating an international dark sky park in northern Michigan.
The Headlands Park was purchased by Emmet County in the mid-1990s, and it was used as a public place where folks could come and stay on the beautiful shoreline of Lake Michigan. An international dark sky park is an area over which you've protected the night sky from light pollution and light trespass. Now, light trespass is the kind of light that's spilling out beyond the boundaries of your own area. The Headlands is a naturally dark wilderness, so there wasn't a lot of artificial light here to begin with, but the International Dark Sky Association also requires that you create a master lighting plan, that there's an ordinance on the property that's more strict about the lighting here than anywhere else in the county.
At the Headlands, you'll not only learn about the stars and planets, but you'll also get a view of nature that will leave you starstruck even during the day.
You can come during the daytime. There's almost 4.5 miles of hiking trails. There's 1.5 miles of beautiful shoreline, and also the trail that you follow on the way in, which you can walk or bike or drive. Every 1/10 of a mile, we have these planetary stations, which is our kind of cultural interpretation of the planets. And then you can get here to what we call the dark sky viewing area, and it's lovely to come before sunset, to set up a picnic, watch the sunset, and wait for the starshine to come out. They've been there the whole time, but they don't show up until it gets dark enough, and so that's really a lot of fun, and I think that young and old can enjoy that.
Camping is not allowed in the park, but visitors do have the option of staying in the 3-story guest house located not far from the park viewing area. A crystal clear night there offers spectacular views of the moon, the stars and constellations, the Milky Way, and during our visit, a flyby of the International Space Station. The park is also an ideal spot to check out the northern lights when their colorful streaks reach Michigan.
So here at the Headlands, what we like is for folks to come and have an experience of a naturally dark wilderness, to kind of encounter themselves in the dark, and then also to see the stars the way they were seen thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, even 150 years ago, before the introduction of electric light, and just have that sense of awe and wonder and the kind of restorative sense that comes from being in a naturally dark place.
More information on the Dark Sky Park can be checked out at emmetcounty.org/darkskypark. For our final stop tonight, we stay in northern Michigan and climb to the top of the Mackinac Bridge. It's the place to get the very best view of an annual antique tractor crossing from Mackinaw City to St. Ignace. Here's Destination Michigan's Bob Garner.
The Mackinac Bridge really does the trick in linking our two peninsulas together, but today it does even more than that.
It's the annual Antique Tractor Ride, a 5-mile jaunt for farm tractors that are over 40 years old. In the tractor world, 40's pretty young, and of the almost 1,000 tractors and tractor drivers, age 60 is pretty well the normal. The oldest driver here today is somewhere in his 90s. Drivers for this bridge run are not all farmers, but their devotion to the tractoring way of life is what makes this all work. You'll see Internationals, Fords, Olivers, Alice Chalmers, Massey Fergusons, John Deeres. Many of them started pulling plows and disc for a relative generations ago. They've all been maintained and taken care of with lots of TLC. The trek across the Mackinac Bridge originates in Mackinaw City, and the guy that runs this annual event is Owasso resident Bob Baumgrass, who originated the idea a few years ago and marshals it together every single year.
Bob, you are the one that thought of this idea to put all these tractors together. How did that come about?
Back in 2007, I was on the Mackinac Bridge website, and I could tell that the Bridge Authority allowed the truck drive. You know, naturally you got Labor Day walk, and they had the motorbike ride and the bike rides, and I thought, where's the tractor drive? And that'd be kind of neat to see tractors cross the Mackinac Bridge. First I checked on the internet. I made sure it did not happen legally anyways. So I went ahead and started checking that out, and I found out there was none. So I sent an email off to the Mackinac Bridge Authority, and probably a week or two later, Bob Sweeney from the Mackinac Bridge Authority.
Great guy.
Oh yeah, he called me up and he said, talk to me about it a little bit more, and basically said, we need to talk about it some more.
And now today, how many tractors so far are registered?
Today, 953 are registered with 70 buddy riders, so we've reached the 1,000 mark for participants for the first time.
1,000, so you can't have a buddy seat on.
Yeah, this year you can.
Okay, and you can have a buddy seat on. And what's the oldest tractor you know of? Is there?
1937 GP John Deere. Matter of fact, it belongs to Ward Holton up by Ovid.
Yep.
And he is going to be driving a different tractor in the parade, but that tractor is here, and it'll be at the Little Bear Arena in St. Ignace to show off.
Okay, and would you say the average age of the tractors here, 60 plus?
Well,
they got to be 40.
Well, that's correct. I would say probably 65 even, because a lot of these tractors definitely are back in the 40s and 50s. A lot of wartime John Deere tractors in here and farm-all tractors, and a little bit of mix of everything.
Truly is ageless iron, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I tell you, where else do you see this many tractors in one spot crossing the Mackinac Bridge? You know, it's just awesome.
Jerry Madison of Cadillac is driving a 1950 John Deere that's older than he is. It's a John Deere B he calls Sweet Annie. Actually, it's one of our Garner family tractors. Jerry, tell me about this tractor.
Well, it's a 1950. It's a John Deere BW. W, of course, stands for wide front from the factory back in the day, you know. And the unique part is not only the wide front, but it's also on 42-inch rims, which is kind of unusual.
And it's older than you or I are.
Absolutely.
Okay, 63 years old, and you're driving it over the bridge for the first time today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pay close attention for a very good reason.
And why is that?
It's my tractor.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yes. This tractor was restored by your cousin.
Jack Peterson.
Jack Peterson of Cadillac.
And he done a remarkable job, and plus he rebuilt the motor completely on it. It went right through the tractor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it runs good, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a peach.
Start her up.
Okay, Bob.
If you want to be a part of this annual event, detailed information can be found at bobstractorpartscorner.com. Thanks for joining us tonight on Destination Michigan. We hope you'll tune in again and learn more about the state we all love to call home.